quick training video for Weekly Money Multiplier and Lotto X on the TTM Squeeze. We've talked about the TPS system, standing for Trend Pattern Squeeze, and we've done previous videos on spotting a trend and then recognizing a pattern. And finally, now a quick video on the TTM Squeeze. As you can see here, the TTM Squeeze is an indicator that you can put on your charts in Thinkorswim. There are a couple of other brokerages that have this TTM Squeeze indicator, but not all of them do. I don't think Charles Schwab or E-Trade has them. If you don't have TD Ameritrade, you can also use a third-party software called TC2000, which also has the indicator. And basically you have the TTM Squeeze for all time frames. In this particular example on the screen, this is Costco on the daily. And we can talk about here what the squeeze represents. When we say a stock is in a squeeze, we are looking for red dots like this on the TTM Squeeze indicator. You'll see these colored histograms going up and down. This just represents momentum. Down for red, yellow is still negative but returning positive. Light blue is positive momentum, and dark blue is waning momentum in the positive sector. When we look for a trend, we've discussed that, a positive bullish trend. A pattern, we're looking for that woodpecker pattern, a spike up, a pullback, a consolidation near the averages. And the final piece we need to have is a squeeze, which means red dots in the time frame we're looking at in this TTM Squeeze indicator. The red dots on the TTM Squeeze indicate that a stock is resting. Okay, when the TTM Squeeze here that we're looking at fires long, it goes back to green with positive light blue momentum going up. That squeeze fired long, and the idea is to catch that move while positioning in this area when the stock is quiet. What this represents is when we see a squeeze on the TTM Squeeze indicator, this represents that the Bollinger Bands, which is this light gray line here, is inside. They've come inside the Keltner channels, which is not represented on this chart, but that's what that represents, which to all of us says the stock is resting before another big move, either up or down. So when we go to our classic example here of Mossy, and we go to the 1 hour chart, Mossy is under all-time highs at 258. So it's in a bullish uptrend. We have our consolidation, our spike up to 258, our pullback, our consolidation near the averages, and we have a TTM Squeeze. Okay. In this case, we have a TTM Squeeze with momentum coming back towards positive, which is a great sign. And I think this afternoon, we got into a position here near the averages. And the idea being that this squeeze ends up coming back up to zero and goes positive, and that squeeze fires to the long side and goes up to our targets, which we'll discuss in another video. The way we look for a squeeze in a particular stock on a time frame is we have our squeeze watch list over here in our left-hand column. This is our Lotto X watch list currently with a number of stocks in it. And each one of these blocks that are red represents a squeeze on that particular time frame. That allows us to look at multiple time frames in a particular stock without having to go through each one of the time frames. So for instance, we are looking at Team. Team has a 1 hour squeeze. So if we go to the 1 hour chart on Team, let's get rid of our drawings. We see that team has a squeeze forming on the 1 hour chart near the averages, and let's check to see if we have a pattern. So within this hourly chart, do we have a pattern? The answer would be yes. Spike up, consolidation, pullback, consolidation near the averages. Do we have a squeeze? Yes, squeeze forming and momentum is pushing towards positive. Let's see if team is in a trend. What do we have on the daily? That looks pretty good on the daily. It is in an uptrend. Let's just double check the weekly. It looks like we are just under all-time highs at 190.21 on team. So in this particular case, team on the hourly chart has a great pattern. You can see how this would play out earlier. We have a spike up in team, a pullback, a consolidation near the averages, and look what we have here, a squeeze. And this particular squeeze ended up firing to the long side. And you see this nice move that we're hoping to capture a piece of in this particular stock, firing long. We don't take a position unless that stock is in a squeeze. It's currently in a squeeze here. It was in a squeeze back here. So as we start to look at these stocks, obviously in the Lotto X watch list on the left-hand side, these are all stocks that have been pre-vetted. So we know they're in an uptrend. We know that they probably have a pattern, but we want to check their time frames to see what we're looking at. If we look at a stock that does not have that particular pattern, we can go in here and we can say, okay, it looks to me like ZM on the 30-minute has a squeeze. So let's look at ZM on the 30-minute. Do we see an up and consolidation, up, a pullback and a consolidation on this particular chart with this squeeze? Yeah, we kind of do, but it's still a little choppy. If we look at a chart like DVX, this is up, consolidation, but there's no squeeze, right? Up, pullback, consolidation, no squeeze. Obviously, if we started looking at different time frames, I think we might be able to find one. But we need all of those pieces to come together for us to be able to take a trade in one of these stocks. Let's see if we look at ISRG on the 15-minute. Do we have a pattern here? No, we are going up. We have pulled back a little bit to the 21, but we don't have an up, pullback, consolidation, and squeeze. Now, this squeeze previously could have been an interesting place to make an entry. You've got a spike up a little bit of a pullback, a consolidation, but you see what happened here. This squeeze fired short, which meant if we had been long, we would have had to stop out, right? They don't always go in the direction we expect them to go. We just know that when we're in a squeeze, the stock is quiet, and if we position there, and hopefully the stock ends up going in the direction that we think, maybe we had puts here, but I doubt it because of this spike up. That's how we judge whether a stock is ready for us to take. Trend, pattern, squeeze, and squeeze is a very important piece to that particular choice. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments, and we'll try and get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks.